a big squad has travelled over to South Africa for Leinster. Interestingly, chatting to John Dobson, the Stormers coach, who obviously the Stormers got beat by Glasgow last weekend. He was saying that their travel arrangements, some of the squad get in on Tuesday night, some of the squad get in on Wednesday night, and some of the squad get in on Thursday, and they're having to pitch up and play a match on a Saturday. So, like the logistics of the travel for the Stormers to get over to the UK was a complete and utter disaster. But they've been dealing with that regularly. They have all that planned. Probably the first 15 was on that first flight over on the Tuesday, and then they sort of played catch up from there. But it seemed from social media that the majority, if not all, of Leinster were in South Africa very quickly after that Ulster game. Monday, Tuesday, they seem to have landed there and tried to get settled in as quickly as possible. There's absolutely no way that you can acclimatise to the altitude in 4 days or 5 days, whatever it is. It is impossible. When I went away in the Leinster in 2009 with all the lads, we met up at Pennyhill Park. We were actually given altitude machines, like acclimatization machines, to use at our province or at our clubs before we even got to Pennyhill Park. So we were doing like 4 weeks of acclimatization. We were in the chambers as well. Then when we got to Pennyhill Park, we were doing more of that. So like we had 6 weeks of preparing ourselves for the altitude. So it's going to be pretty difficult for guys to adjust. But here, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing that it isn't going to play on their mind constantly that they have to get acclimatized, they have to get acclimatized. It's going to make a big difference where they just hit the ground, get a couple of training sessions in, and then go for it. They're going to be playing against the Bulls side. It's going to be missing a couple of players, Keenan Moody, Aronsa, two quality wingers. They're not going to be playing. I think they're welcoming back Marco van Staden, who was obviously a huge player in the back row for them. So they're missing a couple, but gaining a couple. Where Leinster seem like they're going to be pretty much fully loaded. I know there's a question mark maybe over if Gary Ringrose is going to start or is going to be involved. We'll wait and see. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome game. Played at 3 o'clock, is it on Saturday afternoon? So the heat, humidity, temperature in Pretoria, the Bulls will be licking their lips because they did not play well against Benetton. Benetton gave them a scare, 33 or 30 points to 23, and arguably Benetton were the better side on the day, and the Bulls just had enough. But they're going to have to change their mentality. Like this is the biggest game that they will have played in the last 4 seasons, and I fancy Leinster to create a bit of an upset in Pretoria. Jake White's called for 50,000 fans to get behind him because that's what it's going to take to get across the line against Leinster. So, yeah, it's going to be hugely exciting, hugely physical. Two good sides that are starting to find their groove, and hopefully it lives up to what everybody's expectation is. Yeah, Donny, like I was actually going through the game again last night, trying to pick out bits of analysis from it, and really interesting. Like, Keelan Doris missed like 4 tackles in like that game, which led to like a couple of them led to big line breaks as well. Like the one with Izuchukwu where he got the offload to Matty Ray, who nearly got the offload to Cooney. Like the first up tackling and Ryan Baird as well. That they don't come up and like bang you on the gain line. If you can get dipped and put a bit of power into the carry, into the contact, and try and isolate, they're good at trying to double up. But that's difficult when you're trying to get line speed. Sometimes the outside guy gets ahead, so it's harder to hit inside. And we all know what the Bulls, what's their strength? It's their close game carrying. No, it's the one out runners coming around the corner at pace, dipping the shoulder, bumping off players, little offloads, tip ons outside, inside, a bit like Ulster did in the opening 10 minutes of that game. The other thing was Ulster's maul was pretty good. They got changed out of it a few times. In my opinion, Keelan Dore should have been yellow carded and possibly a yellow a penalty try just on the half time mark. 17-7 would have been maybe a little better for Ulster. But it's still, that being said, it still felt like Leinster, had another gear if needed, and they showed a lot of class. They scored a couple of cracking tries. From all over the pitch. They looked like they were right at it. Ty Furlong went off in 43 minutes. Michael Alatoa come on. Are they protecting a couple of players as well? Quite possibly, just with the trip to the Bulls. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. If Leinster can pick up where they left off, because it's going to be pretty much the same team. I'm going to say, Donny, that's going to take the pitch against the Bulls. And with the disappointment of the Champions Cup, it felt like it was well and truly put behind them and the final whistle against Ulster. But Ulster didn't make life difficult enough for them to raise a few questions during that 80 minutes, and maybe the Bulls might do that. Yeah, I think weather conditions might play a part. We all know here in Ireland how crap it's been for the last well, the last week or so. It's just been pissing down rain. So yeah, we'll be interesting to see what the weather conditions are like. It feels like, well, I'm not sure if anybody would tuned into the last game that Munster played against Glasgow on home soil, and that was down in Cork. And Munster actually conceded four maul tries in that game. They still won the game. They still put 40 points on the board, I believe, but they conceded a shed load and they got physically dominated. And so I think since then they've only conceded two maul tries since that game, which was absolutely months and months ago. So it's an area that obviously Graham Roundtree was not happy with. His expertise, that's where he has to take accountability. And they sorted that out pretty quickly. The Ospreys, we were all talking about the Ospreys in a quarter final, going there, big dominant scrum, half decent set piece. They made no inroads as well in the Munster, and if anything, Munster were the team that got on top of them during the set piece. So any team that's you sort of big up a little bit and you question Munster around things, they seem to raise their game. They seem to relish that people are maybe saying, oh yeah, their pack's maybe a bit lightweight, or yeah, there's two props, Stephen Archer, John Ryan, so they're mid 30s, like they don't have long left. But like they've been playing class. Like John Ryan slipping into loose head has been unbelievable. So um, I think with Glasgow again, watching the match against the Stormers, you want to try and get the ball off the pitch. You want to try and target their set piece. They've got unbelievable counter-attacking players. Tom Jordan, who plays out half, is really good with ball in hand. Cancelliere, unbelievable with ball in hand. Kyle Steen, ridiculous with ball in hand. It's probably going to be Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu in the centres. Very good at open play. So yeah, for me, Munster need to get the ball off the pitch, target their set piece, and just not let them get into any rhythm. A couple of poor kicks from the Stormers, Gallant or maybe Labaka against Glasgow last weekend. Before they knew it, poor kick, and they were back 50 yards after a brilliant counter attacking. The other thing is on turnovers, Glasgow are very very strong. Any turnovers, they get the ball to width very very quickly. And again, Kyle Steen, 105 6 kilos, huge winger, is able to make serious ground in the outside channels. So yeah, it feels like this is going to be a tighter game than the other one. I do fancy Leinster to beat the Bulls, just with the quality that they have and the quality that the Bulls are missing. Those couple of players. But it feels this game's going to be tight, and as you say, the needle is always there between them. So hopefully we get a bit of that as well. Peter O'Mahony, there's been chats of him, Donny Hasner during the week. He did a few interviews of again a little bit of unrest just because he's been taken off in 50 minutes or mid 40 minutes was it against the Ospreys the last game. But you have to be honest, like he hasn't had a huge impact on the games that he's played in recent weeks. And like as a coach, like that's your job. Your job is to strengthen the team. It's not to be, oh, he's Peter O'Mahony, he's 100 caps for Ireland. We have to leave him on there, because he's given so much to Munster. Like, and that would be really unfair. That's nonsense. Like, it's about getting the right results and it's about dominating the opposition. And if it feels like Peter's not just quite there with his game, then there's guys that are coming off the bench and making huge impacts. Jack O'Donoghue, Gavin Coombs have been brilliant over the last couple of weeks. So, like, no doubt, Peter will start this weekend and he'll have a huge impact because it is a crunch game. But people got to give Graham Roundtree a bit of slack because everything he's done over the last 10 weeks, 10 wins on the bounce. Like nobody's really patting him on the back for that at the minute. They seem to be getting stuck into him for taking people off too early just because they've worn the red jersey of Munster for the last decade, which You don't want any of that leading into semi-finals or finals over the next couple of weeks, especially home games as well, Donny. So hopefully they can cancel out a bit of that negativity on Saturday, put in a really good effort. Pete and a few of the other senior players really stand up and have big performances, and they roll on into the following week with hopefully a final back down at Thomond Park.